If you've ever had the painful experience of noticing subtle yet worrisome changes in someone you love, you might understand that quiet discomfort, that lingering question, is this just aging, or is something deeper unfolding? Sometimes, what looks like a loss of appetite, a more tired face, or a slower pace of speech is actually the body speaking in silence, because the transition from life toward its final chapter is rarely sudden. It often unfolds gently, through small, almost invisible signs, and those who care, those who truly pay attention, can begin to recognize this quiet path. There's a common belief that death in later life arrives suddenly, without warning, but the body, in its wisdom, begins to whisper long before that final breath. Little shifts that, in the rush of daily life, often go unnoticed, and by the time we finally sense what's happening, we may be standing at the edge, without having taken the time to come closer, to be more present, to love more consciously. Maybe that's where you find yourself now. Maybe someone dear to you is quietly changing, and you can feel it, but haven't found the words to describe it. This video is a gentle invitation to walk through that experience together, not to resist what life brings, but to meet it with care, with grace, and with presence, to make each remaining moment a sacred space for connection and remembrance. Because life, even in its final stages, is still life. It still pulses, still teaches, still invites. And the more aware we are of these silent signals, the more we can honor what remains, not by adding more days, but by filling each one with meaning. Significant weight loss. It's common to hear that the body slows down and appetite fades with age. But there's a quiet difference between what's expected and what signals something deeper. A noticeable loss of weight, often unfolding silently, can be one of the earliest signs that the body is entering a different phase. Maybe the belt no longer fits like it used to. Clothes seem to hang loosely. A favorite meal sits untouched. These small, almost invisible changes speak volumes, not of pickiness or forgetfulness, but of a body that may no longer absorb nutrients the way it once did, muscles that quietly begin to fade. Systems shifting into a gentler rhythm. This doesn't always mean something is wrong. It can be a response to chronic conditions, or to emotions that have gone quiet. Sometimes the body begins preparing itself for transition long before the mind fully understands. When this happens, feeding someone becomes less about portions or calories. It's about comfort. It's about gentleness. It's about recognizing that nourishment now takes many forms, including warmth, safety, and simply being present. Before the goodbye, the body still longs to be cared for, not just sustained, but truly understood. Extreme fatigue and weakness. Not all tiredness is the same. Some fatigue lingers, untouched by rest, unchanged by sleep. It settles deep into the body and into the spirit, like a quiet weight that makes even daylight feel heavy. This kind of exhaustion doesn't always announce itself. It begins subtly. A daily task becomes a burden. A bath is delayed. A conversation feels too long. Steps slow down. Bit by bit, the person turns inward, retreating into their own rhythm. With this physical weariness often comes an emotional ripple. Frustration may appear, not being able to do what once felt natural. A loss of independence that reflects in the eyes, in the mood, in the desire to be around others. It can feel as though the world continues at full speed while the body moves in slow motion. But the answer isn't to force old routines. The invitation is to honor a new pace, a softer pace, a quieter one, where value is no longer found in doing, but simply in being. And within that stillness, The greatest gift is gentle support, steady presence, and the peace that comes from being truly seen, without judgment, without demand. If someone you love is carrying this deep fatigue, today may not be a day for answers. It may just be a day for nearness. Sit beside them, hold their hand. Let silence speak where words fall short. Sometimes, the deepest form of love is simply staying close. If these words resonate with you, or if someone in your life comes to mind, feel free to share in the comments. And if you'd like to keep walking this path of reflection, where science meets soul, consider subscribing. This is a space where care is shared, gently, one breath at a time. Increased cognitive confusion, or withdrawal. Sometimes the mind begins to step back before the body does. A forgotten word here, a long pause there, a sentence that trails off, or a familiar name that suddenly feels distant. At first it's subtle, like a light fog gently settling over what used to be clear. These changes might seem small, but they carry weight. It's not simply distraction. It's a sign that the whole system is slowing down, including the brain. Oxygen moves less freely now. The senses that once reached outward begin turning inward. There may also be emotional distance. Someone who used to laugh easily grows quiet. Where once there were stories and conversations, now there's stillness and long gazes. And when they do speak, it may feel as though they're somewhere else entirely, on a different wavelength, in a different time. This shift can be unsettling to witness, but it's not rejection. It's not giving up. It's a natural retreat, as though the person is slowly preparing for another kind of presence, less rooted in this world and more connected to something beyond. In these moments, words may lose their power. What matters most is the atmosphere we create. A calm space, a soft voice, light arranged with care. Even when speech fades, the soul is still listening. And what it hears isn't in the words, but in the tone. The intention, the quiet energy of love. If this feels familiar to you, share it below. Sometimes, naming the experience can bring relief. And if you feel these reflections speak to something within you, stay close. There's still so much we can learn together about this tender season of life, frequent infections and slow healing. There comes a time when the body, ever so quietly, begins to respond less. Small wounds take longer to heal. A simple cold lingers longer than it used to. Infections become more frequent, as if the immune system is simply too tired to keep up the fight. These signs often arrive gently: a mild cough, a lingering urinary infection, and sometimes no fever at all, just a sudden confusion or a wave of fatigue that seems to come from nowhere, like the body's energy is being pulled elsewhere towards something deeper. But these aren't failures. They're part of a natural shift that invites a new way of caring. Not urgency, not aggression, but presence, comfort, softness. That might mean light clothing, gentle hygiene, moisturizing dry skin, clean sheets and fresh air in the room. This is also a time to pause and rethink invasive interventions. The strongest medicine isn't always the most healing. Often the body just needs tenderness, a warm bath, a gentle oil massage, a soothing tea, offered with care. And there's another key piece: nutrition. After age 60, even those with healthy habits can develop nutrient deficiencies. Some of the most essential include protein, for maintaining muscle and supporting immune strength, calcium and vitamin D, for bone health and the prevention of osteoporosis, omega-3, for heart support and mental clarity, fiber, for digestive. Balance antioxidants to protect against cellular aging and reduce inflammation. Working with a doctor or nutritionist can help bring these elements into balance. Good nutrition isn't just about preventing illness. It strengthens the whole body, offering more energy, resilience, and independence. When we notice these subtle changes, it's an act of deep respect to respond with presence and patience, to understand that slowing down isn't giving up. It's another form of expression. And in this space of stillness, care becomes a form of healing. And if you're looking for something natural to support your heart, your mind, and your digestion, Moringa might be just what your routine is missing. Often called the most useful plant in the world, Moringa is rich in nutrients and antioxidants. And now it's available in easy-to-use capsules with Moringa Magic. If you're curious to try the benefits of this incredible superfood, click the link in the description below and take advantage of the special offer, available for a limited time. Major changes in breathing or circulation. There are changes the body announces quietly but unmistakably. Breathing becomes shallow. Long pauses appear between breaths. Hands and feet grow cool to the touch. A bluish tone may settle into the skin. These are gentle signals that the heart is slowing down, and the body is beginning to conserve its energy for what matters most. These shifts rarely arrive with drama. Often they show up late in the day when the room dims and silence grows. Sometimes during sleep, soft sounds emerge, like gurgling or faint rattles that weren't there before. These may come from fluid in the lungs, a common part of this phase. But more important than the sound itself is what it means. The body is scaling back, gently, naturally. At this stage, the goal is no longer to restore old rhythms. It's to ease the moment, to soften the space around the breath. That might mean adjusting a pillow, softening the lighting, or making sure the room is calm and comfortably warm. Even something as simple as a cool breeze or the quiet hum of a humidifier can help the breath find peace again. It's also vital that this care be guided by professionals, doctors, or palliative teams who understand how to soothe without intrusion. Because now the focus is not on adding more time, it's on honoring the time that remains with gentleness. And in these moments, loving observation becomes one of our greatest tools. Not fixing, not forcing, just seeing, just sensing, just trusting that the body in its quiet wisdom knows what it's doing. If you've seen these signs in someone close, or lived through something similar, feel free to share. And if you'd like to keep exploring these tender transitions with care and clarity, subscribe. This is a space for reflection, for presence, and for meeting life, even in its quietest hours, with compassion, emotional and physical withdrawal. From life, stepping back isn't always a sign of sadness or surrender. Sometimes it's simply the soul turning inward. When someone begins to speak less, seek more silence, avoid eye contact, or respond with less energy, they may be entering a phase where what truly matters can no longer be seen, only felt. To those nearby, this can be hard to understand. It may look like detachment, but it's introspection. It may feel like loneliness, but it's quiet preparation. There are still moments of clarity, like brief flashes of light followed by long pauses. It's as if life is being experienced differently, less through words, and more through a deep, inner knowing. And slowly, the body follows. Touch becomes less frequent. The gaze turns inward. Time stretches between each movement. This is a natural process, a profound one, sacred even, like the tide that gently recedes from the shore, before returning once more to the ocean. To honor this rhythm is a true act of love. To stay close, even without conversation, is one of the most powerful forms of presence. Words may fade, but the heart still listens, and often that gentle energy, just being there, is everything. When we offer that kind of stillness, we're not filling space, we're making space, and in that space, something sacred unfolds. These signs, they're not just symptoms of decline. They're quiet invitations to love more deeply, to live more fully, to see one another through eyes that recognize the eternal. Every change the body reveals is also a soft call for us to become more human, more compassionate, more awake to what truly matters. Death, as hard as it is, rarely arrives without warning. It sends signals, subtle, almost invisible, as if asking gently for permission before entering. And when we're able to hear those signs with open hearts, something shifts. Fear becomes care, pain becomes tenderness, and the time that remains becomes sacred. Accepting this process isn't giving up. It's offering dignity. It's creating a space where someone can be fully themselves, all the way to the end. No rush, no correction, no expectations, just a sacred honoring of every detail, every breath, every silence. As awareness expands, so does clarity. And in that clarity, we find the courage to offer our presence through simple, meaningful gestures. Genuine closeness has the power to soften even the hardest transitions. If this message touched you, feel free to share a thought in the comments. Sometimes a single word, gently shared, can become shelter for someone else. And if you'd like to keep walking this path of listening, of care, of presence, we invite you to subscribe. Here we continue learning how to live soulfully, truthfully, and with compassion.